He was 6'4". He went to work every morning, had a wife, 2 kids, and a house in the suburbs. He fixed buildings for a living. For more than 30 years, no one had any idea what he was doing at night. This is the story of Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach serial killer. And the question that still haunts investigators to this day is simple. How does a man like this stay hidden for so long? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is one of the most disturbing cases in modern American history. And it is far from over. If this is your first time here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell, because every single week we go deep into the cases that will keep you up at night. You do not want to miss what is coming. Let us go back to the beginning. It is May 2010, Long Island, New York. A young woman named Shannon Gilbert is working as an escort when she makes a desperate 911 call from a client's home in Oak Beach. She is screaming, telling the dispatcher that someone is after her. Then the line goes silent. Police launch a search for Shannon. What they find instead will shatter the quiet of Long Island forever. On a remote stretch of highway known as Ocean Parkway, just steps from the cold sands of Gilgo Beach, investigators begin pulling human remains from the brush. 1 set, then 2, then 3, then 4, all within a quarter mile of each other. All young women. All working as escorts. All advertised on Craigslist. The media names them the Gilgo Four: Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, and Maureen Brainerd Barnes. They had disappeared between 2007 and 2010, and someone had placed their bodies there, wrapped in burlap, like they meant nothing. By the spring of 2011, police had found the remains of 10 people along that same stretch of road. 10 people, and the investigation that followed would stretch for over a decade before a single name was ever attached to the crimes. For years, the investigation stalled. There were allegations of corruption within the Suffolk County Police Department. Tips went nowhere. Families waited. Victims' advocates grew frustrated. It seemed like whoever did this would simply walk free forever. But in February 2022, something shifted. A new task force was formed, and Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and District Attorney Ray Tierney brought in fresh eyes. Within just 6 weeks, they had a name. Rex Andrew Heuermann, a 59-year-old architect based in Midtown Manhattan. A married father of 2. A homeowner in Massapequa Park, a quiet suburban town just 20 minutes from Gilgo Beach. On the surface, completely ordinary. The kind of man you wave to from the driveway and never think twice about. But buried in the original case files were clues that had been sitting there all along, waiting for someone with the patience to finally connect them. Let us talk about the evidence, because this is where the story becomes extraordinary. The first thread investigators pulled was a Chevrolet Avalanche. When Amber Costello disappeared in September 2010, her roommate described the last client who picked her up, and the truck he was driving, a first-generation Chevy Avalanche. Over a decade later, the task force cross-referenced that detail with records and surveillance footage. Rex Heuermann owned exactly that vehicle. The second thread was mobile phone data. Investigators tracked the location of burner phones used to contact multiple victims and found that the signal movements matched Heuermann's known patterns perfectly: his home in Massapequa Park, his office in Manhattan, back and forth, night after night. The third thread was the most damning of all: a single piece of trash. Investigators placed Heuermann under surveillance, and one day they watched him throw out a pizza crust. They retrieved it from the garbage. They ran his DNA, and what came back connected him genetically to hairs recovered from the bodies of his alleged victims. One discarded piece of food. 30 years of secrets unraveled. On July 13, 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested in Midtown Manhattan, steps from his own office, and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Prosecutors stood before the cameras and called him, in their own words, a demon that walks among us. If you are still watching and you have not subscribed yet, please do it now. Hit that bell icon. New episodes drop every single week. And this story has plenty more chapters left. Now let us talk about the man behind the mask, because this is what makes the Heuermann case so deeply unsettling. By all outward appearances, he was unremarkable. He ran a small but legitimate architecture firm. He commuted to the city. He came home. Neighbors described his house in Massapequa Park as a little unkempt, a little different, but nothing that raised any real alarm. His family had absolutely no idea. His wife and 2 adult children were living under the same roof, completely unaware of what prosecutors say was a decades-long secret life. His daughter Victoria has since publicly said she believes her father is the Gilgo Beach killer. His estranged wife, Essa Ilarip, has said the opposite, that she refuses to believe it. But the evidence found inside that house tells a very different story. On Heuermann's burner phones his family never knew existed, investigators found thousands of searches. Searches for sex workers, searches for sadistic and torture-related content, searches for the whereabouts of victims' families after the murders. And then there was something else, something that sent a chill through the courtroom when it was first revealed. Prosecutors say they found what they describe as a murder manifesto, a planning document that references killings that had already occurred and killings that had not happened yet. This was not impulsive, it was not chaotic. According to prosecutors, this was calculated, organized, and premeditated across decades. And the scope of the case kept growing. Initially charged with 3 murders, Heuermann was named as a suspect in the death of a 4th victim, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, within months and formally charged in January 2024. Then, in June 2024, prosecutors added 2 more, Sandra Costilla and Jessica Taylor. Costilla had been killed in 1993, which pushed the alleged timeline of Heuermann's crimes back 30 years, suggesting he may have started killing while still in his 20s. By December 2024, he was indicted in the murder of a 7th victim, Valerie Mack, who disappeared in the year 2000. 7 women, 3 decades. 1 man who went to work every single day and came home for dinner. Now let us talk about where this case stands right now, because there are major developments still unfolding. In September 2025, a judge ruled that all 7 murder cases will be tried together in a single trial, a major win for the prosecution. The defense had pushed for up to 5 separate trials, arguing the killings differed enough to require it. The judge disagreed. That same month, the court allowed cutting-edge DNA evidence to be admitted. Specifically, whole genome sequencing performed on rootless hairs found on 6 of the 7 victims. This is the first time that technology has ever been permitted in a New York criminal trial. If it holds, it is a mountain the defense will struggle to climb. In January 2026, Heuermann's defense team filed a 175-page motion challenging key pieces of evidence, including the pizza crust DNA and the indictment related to Sandra Costilla. His attorney insists Heuermann is innocent. But the district attorney says they are ready for trial, and both sides have confirmed there will be no plea deal. A trial date is expected to be announced soon. And when it begins, it will be one of the most watched criminal proceedings in American history. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to all 7 charges and remains in a Suffolk County jail, waiting for the day he faces a jury. But before we close, let us not forget who this case is truly about. Melissa Barthelemy, 24 years old, a daughter, a sister. Megan Waterman, 22 years old, a mother who left behind a little girl. Amber Lynn Costello, 27 years old, struggling with addiction, trying to find her way. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25 years old, a woman who went to New York City one afternoon and never came home. Jessica Taylor, 29 years old, vanished in 2003. Valerie Mack, last seen alive in the year 2000. And Sandra Costilla, 28 years old, killed in 1993. Her case sitting cold for 3 decades before DNA finally pointed back to a man who had been walking free the entire time. These women deserved better. From the system that failed to find their killers sooner. From a society that, if we are honest, did not pay close enough attention because of how they made their living. Their lives mattered. Their stories matter. And the fact that a trial is finally coming is something their families have waited years to see. The Gilgo Beach case is one of the most staggering examples of a killer hiding in plain sight that modern criminal history has ever produced. A planning document in the house. A Chevy Avalanche described by a witness 13 years earlier. A burner phone, a pizza crust. Sometimes the smallest details break the biggest cases. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Subscribe if you have not already. Hit that bell so you never miss a new episode every week. And drop a comment below. Do you think Rex Heuermann acted alone? Or are there more victims still out there? I want to hear what you think. I will see you in the next one.